just got off the phone with a family friend. Left me a message last night and just said that there's a house in his neighborhood that needs a lot of work. And he's actually been in contact with the owner. The situation was the owner is an older gentleman, and he bought this home for his daughter, and she's since moved on, just kind of up and left. She's moved to another part of the country, so the house is sitting there vacant. Since he knew the owner, he talked to the owner a bit, and the owner just wants to sell it, kind of wants to get rid of this house. So my friend's not really a real estate investor. So he called me and said, hey, I know you do this. I want to know your opinion on what it's worth, and maybe you can help me out with that, and come have a look at the house. Here's my buddy's truck. Looks like we're here. This is the house here, huh? Well, let's see what this one holds in store for us. What's up?
But I've been dealing with him, first part of January probably. The first couple of weeks we were just talking back and forth about the property and what the heck he was going to do with it. And then I told him we'd be interested in buying it. And he said, well, I've got a guy that wants to buy it, but he wants to fix it up a little bit and then pay me as we go along, that type of thing. And he really wasn't interested in carrying the contract and letting the guy pay him a little bit at a time. So he wanted out of it. He had told me, I just can't stand coming here every day through the process of getting it fixed back up and having to relive the heartache every day. I said, well, so you are willing to buy it? And I said, well, we'd like to buy it, but what do you want for it? So it all came down to the price, and we wanted to go about $225, $250 at the most is what Melanie was comfortable with. And finally just said, okay, well, let's get Andy down here and let's do what he knows what's going on.
From what he's telling me about the seller, it seems like a situation that we'll be able to work out. He called him and left him a voicemail message. So when he calls back, we're gonna see if we can set up an appointment so I can go there and see if we can negotiate something that works, that's fair for us, that's fair for him. And sounds like me and him will work out some sort of a partnership where we can flip this together. He doesn't have much experience. He's never flipped a home before, but we've been friends for a number of years, so it'll be a good opportunity for both of us. Hey, so it's been about a week since my friend walked me through this house in his neighborhood that he knew the seller on. And the seller, we finally got an appointment with the seller. I think he had some issues with, he was in surgery or something. So we're meeting with him today, actually in about 20 minutes. So I'm excited to meet with him. I'm excited to see, if he's interested in actually negotiating a little bit. Because the price he mentioned may work, but I don't really want to take a gamble on that with the size of a house.
Okay, let's get down to business.
Sorry. So
no, that's okay.
He told me somewhat about this, but
okay.
Of course, we're both here. We're considering on doing this project together is kind of what we're talking about. I'm young and dumb, and and he's old and wise. But I don't know, tell me your side of it. Geno kind of told me what's kind of going on here, and what's the best. What do you want to accomplish here?
I want to sell it. I have two situations regarding this. We've talked several times. You've been through the house and looked at it and calculated what you think, the eventualities would be.
Yeah.
I walked through it with my builder, for lack of a better term, the guy that's done a lot of it. Anyway, that's where I am.
So I know it's all boiling down to. It sounds like the price, but timeline-wise, what are you looking at with that?
I can work around your schedule.
Okay.
And frankly, maybe
Geno told me before what you guys had talked about. I mean, it sounds like the price got left off at. He was talking like $250, and you said you were thinking $300,000.
Yeah.
I mean, Gene and I talked about it a little bit, but have you thought about it more since then?
You mean have I thought about it? I got a stack of things this tall. I've got all these balls in the air from when Carolyn passed away. I have
Yeah.
No, I had a great partnership with my brothers. I need to clarify that. But.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess what we're here today to talk about is whether or not we're going to be able to get together.
Yeah. This is the boss. 1 second.
And my concern...
Hi, my dear.
Yeah.
The concern I have coming together.
Yes.
If I backed into it, I know kind of how you calculated it. I backed into it this way. I think it'll sell for this. You're going to have a commission to pay somebody. I think it can be repaired for this. So then I recalculated, and it takes $300,000 to get me, not to get me out because I'm not in peril that way, but to make any sense to me.
You know,
And so we're actually about $50,000 apart. And I guess, Gene, the last time we talked, I thought maybe you were going to look and see if there are any, I don't mean corners you can cut in the quality of what you would do, but if there are any corners you can cut to make it work. And that's
Right. Yes. So I talked to Andy. And so
where are we, guys?
So sorry. So I guess back to that. I mean, we're just where is that we can make this work out, and that's the bottom line, right?
That's a good question. That's a question for you. I mean, that's not a question for me. I don't know what you can do to get to my number. I don't know what adjustments you can make.
Can we just be fair and just meet on it? I mean,
I don't know whether we can be fair or not, and I wouldn't make a commitment today. But if you want to be frank and tell me where you are, then in 24 hours I can tell you whether I can make it work or not.
Anyway.
So here's where I am.
Yeah.
You say, is there no flexibility? And that's a dangerous position to be in. And so I'm there, but I'm not there. I mean, if you said 298.7, we could probably make a deal. But I need 300 to make it work. And I think the flexibility has to come in whether or not you can make adjustments in what you think you need to do. I am going to do the following. By tomorrow night, I'll give you an answer. And I think we're still apart, but I'll give you an answer. I want to calculate what's 25,000 worth, how does it change the equation, what does it do to the trust. I don't want to grind you to the point where there's nothing in it for you.
Right.
But I've still got to look at this trust.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen.
Okay.
Brent,
I'm going to go home and cook fish.
So we just got done with that seller appointment. I recorded the audio of it, and man, it was like an hour and a half. And then afterwards, I went with my friend, went back to his house, and we kind of broke it down. So I recorded the audio of that as well. Yeah, he's that was interesting. So that's what I wanted to come and talk to you about, like break it down, because he's a shrewd old cat. Like, he knows negotiation. He knew exactly what that was. Don't think for a second that, I mean, it was a negotiation straight up going in there. And with me there, he never dropped his guard with me. He never got in a rapport with me at all. He had it with you, but not with me.
Because he always talked to me.
He talked to you. He didn't remember my name. We had nothing going on. I mean, it was like, it never got there. Remember I told you it needed to get there? It never got there with him. Which is fine. It doesn't matter, because we're just going to... We'll play it a different way, but
I mean,
he kept looking at you and he kept saying, well, Gene, I want to make sure this works for you and all stuff. But that's okay. It doesn't really matter. He's not going to talk to me at all, and you're probably better off like not even mentioning me, other than when he comes back to you, which he said he's going to come back tomorrow night. He already knows what he's willing to do, but he's going to come back to you and he's probably going to say, oh, you know, he might try to squeeze you a little bit more, and that's going to be on you. You're going to have to kind of call that. But if I were you, I'd treat it something like this. Oh, you know what? I brought Andy in just because he kind of knows the market, and man, he really told me that 275 was kind of pressing it, but it would work there, and I'm kind of leaning on him, so I feel comfortable at 275. You know, he's going to try to talk you up, but if you give him that spiel, hey, you know, I'm not even really comfortable there, and I don't know that it even works for me there. It's pushing my comfort level. Mm-hmm. If you put back at him and then let that silence happen, he'll take it, I think.
Okay.
He might have one more car dealer fit in him of, my used car sales, my manager won't let me do that. He might have one more little fit in him, but probably not. And if he absolutely won't, if you give him that whole spiel and he's just like, yeah, I really did my figures and I got to have whatever, Gene, this much more, then you can really play reluctant. Like, man, I don't know. That's tough. I'd have to call Andy on it. And you play like that, and then do the walk away, the kind of the hang up, and see what happens there. I mean, I don't think he's going to let that happen. Because, he keeps, well, I got to cook my fish. I got to get out of here. He was real wanted to leave, but really he was just trying to, really what he wanted us to do was like, we'll take it for $300. That's what he was looking for from us. Because you noticed after we got past that, he was just like, oh yeah, let's sit and talk more about nothing, right?
This is his message to me after.
Gene, calling. I owed you a call back yesterday, but I just couldn't get to the point where I could be at peace with this thing, and I'm really still not there. I was over there again today, and it's just, if I was 10 or 15 years younger, I'd tackle in a minute. And I don't want you to think I'm trying to wring all the soap out of a wash rag, because that's not my purpose. I'm being a little nosy, I guess, but do you know the guy that's going to handle this project for you, the McFarland fellow, really well? Is he reliable and dependable, or are you going to end up in the soup?
The bottom line was that seller never got into rapport with me. He wasn't really looking at me. He probably doesn't remember my name. He never kind of would break down that barrier. He kept looking at my friend. Is this okay? Is this okay? So he was also playing hardball. He's an old guy that's been a business owner for a long time.
I'm not saying I feel that way. I don't know. I'm just concerned. Sometimes these young guys that have all the answers make me nervous. I have pondered, and I cannot get $275, but I will tell you what I can do. I guess mostly, I think I could get $300, but I guess mostly because I do think that you'll have an interest in the neighborhood, and I know you've had an interest in my grandkids, and I know you've been good to them, and the ward's been good to them. I can find another $10,000. I could get to $290, but beyond that, I just don't know what I could do. And I don't mean to leave this in a message, but I owed you this yesterday, and I didn't get to you because I just couldn't come to peace.
I know he didn't like me, or he didn't ever get in rapport with me. He just thought I was some young whippersnapper. And I totally tried to play humble card with him, that I don't do real estate very much. I really didn't want to spook him at all. I'm making him think that, and you were there.
But he knew you were. He said, so you're a flipper. And you said, well, yeah, it's kind of, sort of, I do some of that. So after that message right there, I called him back a couple days later. We were out of town or something right then. Got back into town, I called him, and I just told him, I said, Brent, we were comfortable at $250. As we've done our estimates and things, $275 can work. But, that's where we're just going to have to leave it. I says, I would really like to do the house, but I says, I'm just going to have to bow out. If you're going to need $290, we're going to bow out, and you can find somebody else. And thanks for dealing with us and working with us and everything, but that's just more we're going to pay. And as soon as I said that, he says, now let's wait a minute, let's talk.
You did the walkout on him.
Yeah.
Hey, there you are.
Hi, buddy.
Hey, so tell me what happened.
So we met up this morning and brought your little contract down.
Gotcha. So there's two different options that can go from here. Now, I wanted to talk to you even more about it now that we've got it at that price and we know what it is. I think that house fixed up, what do we say, 430?
Yeah, 430, 435, somewhere in that neighborhood was what they were selling for.
Yeah, let's go 435. So I think when we flip it, $435,000 was going to be a good resale price. But when you do that, you got to pay the buyer's agent 3%, and you generally pay closing costs of about 3%. But we won't have to pay a listing agent more than like $1,500, just because I got people that do that stuff. But you still got to pay the buyer's agent and their closing costs. So you're about 7% if you take off there. So I take 435,000 times 0.93, because that takes off 7%, right?
Yeah.
So then it gets you down to 404.50, right? Minus, how much do we say? Our estimate was like 50 grand, wasn't it?
Yeah.
50 grand to get there. So we're down to $354,000, less some holding costs, which we don't talk about the money costs necessarily. I mean, we can leave that out. There are some money costs, but we can leave that out for now. But just like taxes, insurance, utilities, for the 4 or 5 months it's going to take, I think it's probably about $500 a month is probably a minimum figure, at least for utilities, water, gas, electric, all that stuff, and taxes, property taxes, and an insurance policy, a builder's insurance policy, right? So $500 times, what is that, 4 or 5 months, $2,500, right? So not a big deal without money costs. So you get $20. So it's about $352,000, right? Less the purchase price. So if we go $275,000. So you're looking at about $77,000 less the holding costs, right? The money costs. I've got somebody willing to pay $330,000 and we don't have to do anything. So they're willing to do that. I'm guessing that they're willing to flip that whole property and make 20 grand. So we could make 75,000 going the full 9 yards. So fix it up in a couple of months, put it on the market, wait for that buyer and do all that stuff for negotiating and hope we get that price. We could do all that. And I think we would probably expect, we have to figure out what our holding costs are, like money wise, but maybe like a $70,000 profit figure. So
they got 35 a piece.
35 a piece. These guys, I'd have to fund it first, close it first, especially because of the spread. We'd want to do that. So that's what I was telling you, to kind of hold off on the bank. Because if we bought the property, not this Friday, maybe next Monday or this Friday, whatever, we buy the property, it's in your name, I just fund the whole thing. So you don't have to come up with a dime. Literally the next day, we can sell it to these guys. So I'll put the money in for a day, the next day they buy it, money's out. And they're willing to pay $330,000 cash. So we can take a $55,000 check now without doing anything, or we can go down the road and take an extra $20,000 at that point too. So I don't know, what are your thoughts though? Because like I told you at the beginning, I want you to feel comfortable. You're driving the ship,
Right. So, I mean, I'm good with it. I'll run it by Mel just for giggles and make sure she's a part of it. She was excited to tear into it and start doing some things in the neighborhood there. And
sounds like you need to talk to Mel, but you're leaning 99% towards let's take the money.
Yeah.
Are you surprised by that?
Well, I was surprised that there was that much money.
I was too, frankly. I was thinking, it might be $20,000 decision. But then when I looked at the numbers both ways, I was just like, there's not much of a decision here. I mean, you're taking all the money's coming on the buy side. And that's how it is in real estate. You make all your money when you buy.
Right.
You really do. And then the guy that's going to do the last 10% is going to make a smaller share of it. He's going to work for it. Man, that's all the money that happens.
So now we just got to keep duplicating it. So we got this.
Absolutely.
Let's do.
And sometimes too, you got the value add of like fixing the properties. That's why not everybody can, like, if you had a never-ending string of sellers that just need to sell for their own reasons with trashed houses, man, I'd be a smile from ear to ear. It's finding those people, right? But you can find those people, but on the other side, you can also find the situations that are just bank-owned houses, short sale houses, or just houses from wholesalers, stuff that you can then fix those houses and add that value and collect that $15,000, $20,000 paycheck. And that's going to take you a few months of work and some coordination, but they're still great paychecks. I mean, who's going to frown on making 15, 20 grand in like 4 months from just doing what you do, just fixing a house, That's it? That's all he needs to sign?
I know, right?
I love you.
So you could say your first deal, you didn't have to bring any of your own money, and you walked away from closing with a $26,000+ profit check.
Awesome.
Sounds like a TV infomercial.